In this session, you'll look at a workflow where you can use folders in the Finder to create quotes for clients and then move through to bookings, current edits, and then completed edits, and then finally archive all of your files, including the Final Cut library, into the archive external hard disk. You'll also create smart folders to see all of your libraries on all disks, including the archives. You'll also learn about Final Cut Manager from Arctic Wilderness, a $12 purchase. We've looked at the media management within Final Cut. What I'd now like to show you is how to manage your files within the Finder based upon your customers. So we will start with a folder for quotes, one for bookings where those quotes become firm, and then once those bookings are completed, you will then have your current edits, and then you will move your content through to completed edits, and then finally through to an archive on your external hard disks. So what we're going to do is leave Final Cut for a moment, and we're going to close it or hide it by pressing the orange button. And here is our Finder window with our main edit hard disk showing, and you'll see that we have folders for quotes, firm bookings, current edits, those edits completed, and then the archived edits. There are also two smart folders showing where libraries are. We'll see why they have been created also. To organize these folders in the way that the events happen, I have used the numerical system so that the quotes appear as number 1, firm bookings as number 2, etc. If we look to see the contents of these quotes now, let's say have a look at this quote here for the 14th of August. In here is a file about discussions. When that folder is moved over to the firm bookings, all of the content that was in the quotes then moves over to the firm bookings. So if we look in here for Kerry, we can see that there's a questionnaire and there's some information about her scroll. Now, as soon as that booking is completed, let's say it's completed and today is the 14th of March, we can then drag that into the current edits. Now, when we look in the current edits, we can see that if we look at our edit here, not only are the files relative to the discussions from the quote time to becoming a firm booking, but now we also have the Final Cut library contained within that folder. Now this is where the big advantage comes, is that everything to do with Nancy and Ian as clients exists inside this one folder. So that when that edit is now completed and we want to take it and put it in the completed folder, and when we look here in completed, we can see the Nancy and Ian with the Final Cut library and all associated files like DVD files and the compressed media. And then when we're ready to archive those can then be copied to our archive hard disk. Simply in the Edits Archive folder is a text file that tells us what hard disks those projects or those libraries or those folders, whatever you might like to call them, have now been copied to. The way to have your files correctly ordered so that you can see them in date sequence is if you list them by the year first, that's 2014, the month 08, August, and the date, the 22nd. They'll all be listed in sequential order as you move them from folder to folder. You'll also notice here that there is a smart folder talking about all libraries. Because the libraries are now within folders relating to clients, we can't readily see them on our hard disk as a list of libraries. So there's a smart folder here to show all libraries. If we double click that, we can see all of the current libraries on the currently attached hard disks. If we were to attach one of our archived hard disks that has libraries on it, then they will then also show here. Just to be clear, this smart all libraries folder contains every library on the currently attached disks. So I'm going to now attach another disk. If we go to the disk utility and select this hard disk here and mount it, you'll see that that disk is now mounted in this location, and the libraries that are on that disk are now showing, and they're showing in date order. To achieve this date order, you can click on this Finder search utility and you can see that it's selected by date last opened. So if we look at the top here, these are the libraries we're currently working on. These are libraries we've been working on recently, and then there are some libraries going back 12 months. Because this is going to become a very big file, you may want to categorize just your current libraries, and the current libraries are then in a separate smart folder. So how do we create those smart folders? First of all, we need to find some criteria for Final Cut to search on. And the simple answer is to that, if we look in here to one of our completed edits, and we'll go to the Nancy and Ian one. Now I'm right clicking on the Nancy and Ian and getting information. And if we look in here, we will see that the Final Cut library has this extension, FCP bundle. So this is what we're going to search on. If we simply copy that now, and then come through to the Finder menu and select New Smart Folder. For this case, we're just going to look for Final Cut libraries on our main edit. Only that hard disk is searched. If we press the plus button here, we can then search for file extension, and you probably won't have it showing as I have here, so you need to go to your other choices. And if we come through here, we can see file extension. So click on that and say OK. And the file extension, if we paste Final Cut Pro bundle in there, there are all of our libraries on our main edits. We need to save those. So by saving this here, we will call it all main edit libraries, and we'll save it on our main edit hard disk. We don't in this case want to add it to the sidebar, but you could. The sidebar being this area here for quick access. So we'll turn that off. And now when we save it and we go to the main edits, if we look in here, we will see all main edit libraries. Clicking on that, and there are all of our libraries on the main edits. Now let's take this a little bit further, because what we saw when we looked at all libraries previously was that we could see libraries on every hard disk that was currently attached. So what we need to now do is to go back and select New Smart Folder, and this time we will set it on this Mac, and we will press the plus sign, and we will want to select file extension or go to other if it's not showing here, and put the Final Cut bundle in there and press return. Now what we find is, because we're looking on the internal hard disk, all of the Final Cut library backups are showing. And so this is rather confusing. There's many more files there than you need to know about. So what we need to do is to qualify our search to hide those items there. The GMT plus 11 is relative to the time zone in Sydney at the moment. Let's take this portion of the file, copy that, and we're going to hide all files with GMT plus 11 on them. Over here we only have a plus sign, but if we hold down the Option key now, that changes to 3 dots, and we can click on that, and we get the option now to qualify this. So we can say Other. Let's look for file name and tick that, and put in GMT plus 11, and now it's only showing the GMT plus 11. So what we need to do now is put this as none, so that none of the file name matches of GMT 11 are showing, and subsequently only our real libraries are showing. So we need to now go through and save that, and let's save this as all files library, and we'll save that to the main edits and save. And if we now look at our main edits, there is all of the edit libraries and all file libraries that we've currently added. While we can set up procedures to look for our media and to organize it in the Finder, there is an application that will organize your libraries called Final Cut Library Manager from Arctic Whiteness. And what this allows you to do is to be able to manage and organize where your libraries are, no matter whether they're on your internal hard disk or external hard disk, whether that external hard disk be attached or not. So let's have a look at the Library Manager, or the Final Cut Library Manager. And here it is here, currently showing us that the attached hard disk is available, and these are our libraries. And you'll notice under these situations here where the power plug is disconnected, these are hard disks that are not attached, but they still show you the libraries that are available on those hard disks. You can turn the left-hand panel on and off, just having one hard disk attached, or you can turn your library list on and off. Each time you attach a hard disk that has libraries on it, if that hard disk has not been attached before, then the Library Manager will find that hard disk. So I'm just going to attach another hard disk now, and if we look in the Finder, we can see we have the 3 terabyte hard disk attached there. If we look in Final Cut Library Manager, that hard disk is not showing here, so it hasn't found that hard disk. Simply by dragging that and dropping it into the sidebar here, that hard disk is now attached, and it's looking for the libraries that are on that disk. So if I turn this one off here, we can see on this new disk that we've just connected, these are the libraries that are on that disk. So that gives you the ability to see what's on your disks even if they're not attached. So here we have one that's not attached, and because there are several libraries showing on that disk, you will be able to attach it and access those libraries. So let's look at the disk that is attached at the moment, and let's drill down. So if we look at Vivid Sydney here, for instance, and drill down there, we can see that inside Vivid Sydney there are 4 different projects. So not only can you see the libraries, but you can go to the point of seeing the actual projects. If we come down here to Central Auto, we can see there that there's a single project in there. If we double click that project, it will open that project in Final Cut. So there's the central library, which we've just accessed directly from Library Manager. And going back to Library Manager now, let's see the other things that Library Manager does. Library Manager was originally designed to be able to remove your unwanted optimized media and render files. Let's have a look at this one here, the short Sydney Harbour. If we open that, we can see that there is an event there with a project in it, and that event has optimized media of 300 megabytes and proxy files of 200 megabytes. We can remove the proxy, we can remove the optimized, and you'll see as soon as you do that, then a little trash can appears here, and the optimized media and the proxy media will be put in the trash. At no time is your original footage put in the trash. If your original footage is not available and only optimized media is available, then the optimized media will not be trashed either. So by simply clicking the trash button here, we can then clean that. It's asking if we want to quit Final Cut Pro before cleaning, but because it's not loaded, we don't need to do that. So we can clean that now, and it's simply taken those items out of Sydney Harbour. So the original media is still there, 1.14 gigabyte, but if we look in the trash, then we can see the proxy and the optimized media for that project has been moved to the trash, and we would simply empty the trash here now. By emptying the trash, we've now increased the amount of available space on our RAID disk. You can drill down and look for particular files. So if we just go to one of these here, and let's have a look at this one, say, with timeline in it, so we know that that's there, and we type in the word timeline here, then it brings up the edits that have that word in it, whether they be in the library, the project, or the event. So when it's yellow, you're searching the library. When it's not yellow, you're not searching the library, you're only searching the project. You can also search for keywords that might be within an event as well. So if you've organized your footage by keywords, you can search for it with Final Cut Library Manager, which is available from Arctic Whiteness and is around $12 US and is a must-have for Final Cut Pro. The functionality of the dock icon of Final Cut, if you click and hold on it now, you'll be able to open Final Cut and add any of these libraries to the currently open libraries. If you hold the Shift key down when you select Final Cut in the dock, it will open with no libraries. And finally, if you select the Final Cut icon on the dock and show recents, then the recent libraries are shown in enlarged format there for you to select from.